Okay, so I figured I would answer any kind of questions you guys had from the outline today, and or what I have done in the past, which I usually think is a good idea, is for us to go through kind of question by question and talk about what you need to do to find an answer to that type of a problem. So a lot of times that's a really good thing for you to kind of write down as a review. What else? So the test, I'll basically open it up as soon as class is done, and you guys can take it whenever you want today. Now, I 100% don't like giving the test today when I'm answering questions on the review today, but you guys possibly have seen the schedule coming up, and starting next week, we've got 4 school days off over a 2-week period. Like next week, you guys only have 2 school days. And then I think, what is the 16th or 15th that's like President's Day or something, I think. And so each one of those days has just random different reasons to have it off. But where that really hurts us is we're absolutely missing class time that was needed. So having the test tonight was kind of the one way I thought to kind of go around that, which again, I apologize for because I don't like it, but I think it's a better option than me trying to rush you through topics like in the future days. Because right now we're absolutely using up every single day this trimester. And our next test is probably going to be a similar setup where I'm going to have to give the test at night or something, because we just don't have enough class days to, use for it. So if somebody, I can try to brainstorm ideas to try to alleviate some of that, like, maybe make it on a weekend or something if possible, something like that. I can try to do things like that. But otherwise, it's really difficult to try to lose those 4 days. So having said that, I'm also hoping that you guys have started a note card or a cheat sheet, whatever you want to call it. Cheat sheet makes it sound. I don't really like that term because it's not cheating in any which way. It's only a cheat sheet if you're not supposed to use it. But I'm hoping you guys are organizing like formulas, like derivatives, writing down formulas you need, like say, like number 10, right? There's a formula for local linear approximation on question 10 on the test. So if you guys are creating a review or a study guide for this test, on question 10, I would write down the formula for local linear approximation. Do you guys just want me to go straight through one on, or does somebody have a question on one of these, that's really stressing you out that you want me to talk about first? So 35 people and you're all dead silent. All right. It's a great start. How are you guys feeling about the test? Even if you just want to write it in the chat, how are you feeling about the test, this afternoon? Is it feeling okay? Like the topics so far seem all right? Oh, okay. That's quite the range. Okay. It's all over the place. Okay. Smooth as hummus. That, I guess it depends what kind of hummus you got there, Michael. Oh, nervous because it's the first trade. So we're going to have 3 tests at least throughout the trimester. And we also have our our homework grade that's going to go in as well. The homework grade is, basically supposed to help you out quite a bit, try to balance out things. So hopefully you're at where you want to be for that. I'm going to put the homework grade in tomorrow morning, so finish up whatever you want on Khan Academy tonight. If you want to bring your score up, you could certainly kind of retake things to bring things up. I haven't even looked yet, Kelly, actually. So tomorrow morning is when I was going to kind of decide if I would be adding percents or not. So what I usually do is I try to look at the class as a whole and see how everybody was doing on each section. Last hex semester I didn't add anything to Unit 4. The quizzes in Khan Academy, so Khan Academy, I don't want to say it's a goofy system. It's just not explained very well, which I don't like. I mean, it's not like obvious. So the way they have it set up is they have like a little mastery system for each category. No, you're supposed to be taking the unit test. I must have done that at the end of try 1.1, huh? I think it was because we ran out of time, if I remember right. I was not going to add 20% for the unit test, so take the unit test. Yes, Julia. So on the quizzes, they're actually optional. If you have 100% or mastery level 2 out of 3 bars, so that would be 100%. When you get to the quiz, if you have mastery level 2 out of 3 bars on everything up to the quiz, then the quiz is optional because it won't add anything to your score. Now, say you get 1 out of 3 bars on one topic. When you take the quiz, if you get the questions on that topic correct, then it'll raise that topic up to 2 out of 3 bars. So quizzes are optional. I don't remember who asked that now. My God, you guys are flying with questions. So the test closes at midnight. You guys can start the test whenever you want. Just know that it closes at midnight. Yes, you only get the 3rd bar. You can only get to 3 out of 3 bars for mastery from the unit test. Yeah, no. Sorry, I thought I made that clear on Friday, but I must not have. So the test itself, I did not want to stress you out by using class time on an outline and then make you take the test an hour later. So that's why today we're not meeting live to take the test like we normally will. I'm just going to give you guys the entire night to take the test. You can take it at whatever time you want so that you can study ahead of time if it helps you feel better about it. Holy smokes. I think I answered all the questions. If I remember correctly, let me look quick. No, I can't look quick. I can't open it up, otherwise it'll be recorded. I think the 10 question, oh, it does say on there, the 10 questions in Schoology are a 60-minute time limit. So from whenever you start. But honestly, they're supposed to be pretty fast questions. So that shouldn't be an issue in any which way. Like, that's like twice as much time as you need. The free response questions don't have a time limit because the way they're set up. So the free response questions are actually in Schoology as an assignment. So there's not going to be a time limit on them. I'll just know if you turn it in late because it'll mark it late if you turn it in past midnight. So I have the FRQs each as a separate one. I set them up as an assignment because so many students have trouble uploading pictures to the assessments. Like it's a stupidly complicated workaround to get pictures uploaded on an assignment. So if I set them up as assignments, you can upload pictures straight from your phone. Will you get points off if you turn in the FRQ late? Yes. You should not be up past midnight anyway. You guys, I constantly see people turning stuff in at like 2 and 3 in the morning, and that's like such a bad idea. Do we have to use a pen to write the FRQs? I don't care. Wait, what's the point of the pen? I don't know if I'm missing something on that. Do other teachers make you write in pen on FRQ? Oh, the Calc AP exam FRQ doesn't need to be in pen. I didn't realize the other subjects made you use pen. I wonder what the point of that is. I mean, it shouldn't matter because you don't need to erase anyway. If you guys want something crossed out, you just cross it out and they don't grade it. But no, you don't have to use pen. Okay, let's go through these then. If you guys think of more questions, just put them in there. Okay, number 1. So on your little study guide that you're making up, question number 1. Question number 1 on the test is you are going to be given a graph, and then I'm going to ask you if a particle is moving left, right, or neither. Who should we go with? We should go with Elijah. Elijah, how do you determine if a particle is moving right or left or neither? What do you look at to determine that? Oh, did you just write something? Okay, so if what is positive or negative, but that is 100% correct. And maybe you're looking at what I wrote up on the screen right now. The issue that you're going to run into is you don't know what kind of graph you're going to be given. So you might be given a velocity graph, and I think that's what you were answering if it was positive or negative. But you might also be given a position graph. So, Elijah, how about we'll say you're answering the velocity graph. How can you tell if the velocity graph is positive or negative? Let's be specific on that. And if you don't know, that's okay too. Maybe you didn't know I was still asking you, Elijah? Let's go with Ellie. Ellie Moss. Ellie Moss, if I have a velocity graph, how can I tell if the velocity graph is positive or... Oh, now I just wrote it. Okay, then we'll put you on pause, Ellie. You're going to answer position. Okay, so Elijah just answered if the velocity graph is above the axis, it's positive. And that would mean that you are moving to the right. If you are below the x-axis, that is a negative velocity. That would be moving to the left. Okay, Ellie, I'm hoping you can tell me. I don't know if I'm going to get a velocity graph or a position graph. If I get a position graph, how do I figure out the velocity from the position graph? Ah, you mean average velocity. Got it. Yeah, got it. Just velocity in general. So you're right. I didn't specify average or instant velocity. But what are you looking at when you talk about finding 2 points? What are you talking about finding? Perfect. So if you are given a position graph, you would look at the slope to figure out velocity, because velocity is what tells you if you're moving to the right or left. So if you have a position graph, positive slope, if I can spell, positive slope would be a positive velocity. So a positive slope would mean you're moving to the right. Okay, excellent job, Ellie. Nice job. Negative slope would mean negative velocity, which would mean moving to the left. Ellie Coe, let's just go with the Ellies. I did not talk about neither. I only talked about right or left. I did not talk about neither. How would you determine neither from either one of these graphs? Oh, okay. So where there's no slope. Perfect. That's a good explanation. So it could be flat or a sharp point. So we'll just say no slope is neither. How about on a velocity graph? I can't even spell neither. Today is not going great for spelling. So when the height of it is on the x-axis. Correct. Nice job. Okay. Now, I wrote this one out pretty fully for you guys because I want you to see what a good study guide for you to make yourself would look like. Right? So when I'm looking at question number 1, determine if a particle is moving left, right, neither from a graph. Okay, well, then I have to say to myself, what kind of graphs can I be given? I really can only be given 2, velocity or position. And then I would need to tell myself, what would I look at on a velocity graph to figure out if it's right, left? What would I look at on a position graph to determine if it was right, left? So that's a really good method for you guys to make a study guide. And honestly, I totally forgot to make one for you guys. I started doing it at the end. On Unit 6, I made out a study guide that you guys could print out and write in little squares. And a lot of the students liked that. So that's my fault that I totally forgot to write it for this unit for you guys. So I can make one up for the next unit. Yes. So if a particle is speeding up or slowing down, I am not going to go through and write all the possible combinations on number 2, partially because it would take a long time. Let me scroll down. This thing only holds like 20 people on a screen. Mandy, do you remember how to tell if it's speeding up or slowing down? Yep. Perfect. So the same. That's a great way of putting it. So positive velocity, positive acceleration, or negative velocity, negative acceleration. Same signs. So you are going to have to find both of these answers from the graph, is basically what I'm telling you guys. Because you are given a graph, and it doesn't say which graph you're given, but because you're given a graph, you're going to have to determine whether velocity and acceleration is positive or negative. And then slowing down would be just the opposite. Slowing down is opposite signs. Question 3. Determine information about a particle's velocity from an equation. Wait, I can't remember if it's Tara or Tara. Tara. Okay. Something in my head said it was that. Okay, Tara. On question 3, how do we figure out velocity from an equation? So, I mean, obviously, if we're given the velocity equation, that's the equation. What happens if we're given the position equation? Correct. So if I gave you the position function was something, how do you find the velocity function from that? Yes. You want me to give you an example? Would that be easier? Oh, yeah, that's what I was looking for. I mean, it could be any equation. So if you are given a position function, take derivative first. Now, when I say use it, Kevin, what kind of numbers are you going to be given to use in velocity or position or whatever? What kind of number are you plugging in? They all have the exact same variable. Can't. Here, I'm underlining it right now. Underlining it right now. What variable is that? Yes, exactly. So that's why you don't want to say x, because x of t is the distance formula. No, that's okay. You did a good job. So the reason I'm being specific about this is in problems, a lot of times it's not going to say t equals 3. It's not going to say find v of 2. It's not going to be specific. It might say at 2 seconds. Sometimes you have to find the time, but basically time is the variable to plug in to whichever equation. Okay, good, good. Yeah, thank you. Determine information about a particle from a velocity equation. Oh, you know what? I bet you question number 4 means that you're supposed to answer if it's moving right or left or speeding up or slowing down. I'm going to guess it's the exact same as question 1 and 2, but not a graph. It's an equation. C number 1 and number 2, but no graph. And honestly, most of you would prefer it to be an equation and not a graph, because a lot of you are more comfortable working with equations by plugging a number in and getting a number answer. So I know I've seen that in the past for sure. Okay, question 5. Determine the correct label for an item in a related rate problem. Oh, actually, Ola. Actually, weird. It has you. How are you last alphabetically? That's, yeah, what? whatever. Ola. Oh, you don't have a microphone. Strange. You can, I wrote 8 feet per second. Do you remember what kind of a label this would be from? Whoa. Okay, what would feet be from? What? That would be like distance or length, something like that. It would not be area. It would not be volume. How do I know it's not area? What would area be? Good. Yes, area would be square feet. Volume would be cubic feet. I know that this is just a single dimension length. So this is going to be the derivative of length or distance compared to time. Because the bottom is seconds, I know it's compared to time. So that this is similar to what question 5 will be like, except for question 5 is going to give you a word problem. Word problem with an equation. There's nothing for you to solve. In question 5, you're just supposed to say what something would stand for. So like on question 5, it'll say, what is dA dt? And then the multiple choices that are there, because it's a multiple choice question, you would pick the correct wording label. So if you feel comfortable with labels, number 5 is just that straightforward. How are we doing? Anybody have any kind of questions so far? Okay. Number 6, determine the related rates 6 and 7. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but I know the answer that you're typing in is a number answer. So you're not going to have to worry about labels or anything on 6 and 7, I don't think. I think I wrote it in the problem already. It's basically, I'm just going to give you all of the information. Like in 6 and 7, if I remember correctly, you're given the equations and variables. Find the answers. So 6 and 7 aren't supposed to be super complicated. They are just 1-point questions. Because question 1 through 10 are just 1 point each. The 4 FRQs are 20 points. So the 1 through 10 is not supposed to take long. They're supposed to be short questions. There's 2 FRQ related rate ones where you guys would show all of your work at that stage. So 6 and 7 aren't meant to be big, difficult ones. You know, I might just even give you, I don't remember, I should have looked it up ahead of time. I'm pretty positive I give you an equation, you know, like area of a circle, something like this. I might give you this equation, and then I might tell you dr dt equals 6, r equals 4, something like that. And then I would ask you to find dA dt. So they're kind of straightforward. 8 and 9. 8 and 9 is L'Hopital's. So again, no work needs to be shown at all. I feel really fancy when I write that little caret in there. Like my work automatically becomes more sophisticated, even if I write it sloppy. Okay, L'Hopital's. There are two questions which can kind of guarantee that one, no, I'll call on somebody. Julia. We only had two kinds of limit questions that we went over. Do you remember what they were? Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. It didn't have to be 0. It was just a number. Correct. I'll write that instead. But perfect. Milan, on the FRQ related rate questions, I guess I'm not sure what you mean by steps, because to me, your work is kind of the steps. Unless you meant like step 1 means this. I don't know. Is that what you kind of meant? Like, gotcha. Writing your work would be plenty fine. If you feel more comfortable kind of writing words, like, that's fine too. I'd be okay with either one. But your work would be plenty fine for me. Yep. And then I don't remember what 10 was. Oh, linear approximation. So number 10, linear approximation. So you want the formula for linear approximation. I'm trying to do this off the top of my head, so somebody yell at me if I'm wrong. F of c plus f prime of c times x minus c. I'll put a question mark there. I think that's right. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, like, if you're writing a study guide to yourself, John, do you remember what the x value and the c value, how they're different? Maybe. Are you there, John? Oh, you're Johnny. I'm not even going to pretend to know everybody's last names because John didn't put his last name up there. It just says John. FYI, it's ridiculously hard. I found this out this year. It is ridiculously hard to memorize names without faces. Like usually by the end of the year, I know everybody pretty well. But without seeing faces and things like that, it's really hard memorizing names without. Emma, do you think you can remember what X or C stands for? Yes, kind of. So you basically just have to remember which number is which. Do you remember which one's the easy number? Is that easier for me to describe? It might. I mean, it can always be worded different. That's why I guess I'm writing these down. So the X is generally a complicated number that you're trying to approximate. So the whole reason we're doing this formula is because this number is something you can't calculate on your own without a calculator, which you have one, so whatever. The C value is an easy value that can be computed. But you are correct, Emma. Frequently in the problem, it might tell you f of 3 equals 8 or something like that, so you kind of know which one C is. I just wanted to write this down like this in case you weren't given that info. And I think we've kind of already covered the FRQ questions as well. So question 1 is position, velocity, acceleration. So you're obviously going to be given equations of some sort and be asked questions about those equations. You won't be given a graph because that would be really cruel for me to have you write down everything, on your own by hand. So question 1 isn't going to be graph. 2 and 3 are related rates. So make sure you label your work, because I will be scoring by your labeling your work and your answers. And the L'Hopital's question isn't ridiculous. I just wanted a L'Hopital's question that you could earn partial credit on. Oh, I guess I didn't say that. All 4 of these partial credit is being used. I was assuming you knew that. Because a 5-point question, if it was all or none, would be pretty rough. Joe Griffin, what is the one thing you have to do to be able to earn partial credit? Nice. So $5 points each FRQ. Oh, yeah. And I'm going to be putting them in the gradebook separate so that you guys can kind of know which question you did right, wrong. And that's why it's separate instead of all 4 on one. Although Schoology just updated their thing so that I think I can comment on questions now, when before I couldn't. So that might be nice, and I might be able to change the tests to be able to do that now. What do you mean how to correctly write L'Hopital's rule? Gotcha. Sure, I'll write one out quick here. I'll just do the exact same one we did in class. So if you're given the limit, if you're given the limit as x approaches 0 of sine of x over x, you are not allowed to write equals 0 over 0, because that's what you would lose points from. What you have to do, which is the annoying thing, is you have to say the limit of the numerator is 0, the limit of the denominator is 0, and these make indeterminate values. It's an indeterminate. I don't think you actually have to write indeterminate, because that's kind of a horrible word to remember by the time we get to the AP test. I think you just have to write the 0, 0. So using L'Hopital's, L'Hospital's, I'm going to take the derivative of the numerator and the derivative of the denominator, and I'm going to rewrite the original limit with the derivatives. And now I can plug 0 in directly. This is kind of the official way to write L'Hopital's questions. I think that's what you're looking for, Dane. You bet. I don't know. Anything else? I didn't want to try to use up the entire hour for you guys today, since you still have to take a test after this. But that's why I wanted to leave it open for any questions you guys had. And it sounds like you guys, does it make you, so there was quite a few people that were talking about how they were nervous for the test. Does it make you feel less nervous trying to write out a study guide like this, talking about what needs to be done for each question? Does that help? Okay, good. I mean, that's usually why I like to do that. I know you guys secretly deep down would 100% like me to give you a pre-calc pretest, which is the same as the test. I know you secretly want that. Not even secretly. I usually get asked outright for it. But it, like, to me, that it really doesn't help you, because calc questions are so different than each other. Like, one example of linear approximation, maybe. The problem is I have to think one up off the top of my head. No. Approximate f of 1.97 from f of x equal to x squared using f of 2. So obviously I'm just trying to make this up in my head so that I can semi-get an answer. So the local linear approximation of 1.97 is going to be f of 2 plus f prime of 2 times, 1.97, come on, oops, 1.97 minus 2. So f of 2 is 4, so it's x squared. F prime of 2 would be 2x, which would be 2 times 2, also 4, times 1.97 minus 2 would be negative 0.03. So I've got 4 plus 4 times negative 0.03, which would be negative 0.12, I think. Which would give me 3.88. And I know that's not a great example. I just wanted to pick something I could do off the top of my head. Sometimes you are given the equation to use, like I did. The example we did in class, you were directly told f of 2 equals something, and you were directly told f prime of 2 equals something else. And so in that situation, you would just put those numbers in place of them instead of finding them out. So the question could look very different, but it still involves the same formula. And 3.88 makes sense, because if I square 1.97, I knew it would be a little bit less than 4. So, but it's also, I mean, it's called an approximation. If I should be better. I mean, we said directly that it's approximation, so usually you write the squiggly lines, but whatever. Anything else? Okay. Then why don't we call it done here?